Hello, Sharpies. I am Mark Wayne Mullen.
You got jokes.
And joining us on the show today is friend of the show and guest, Gabe Smith. How are you doing today, Gabe?
I am doing all right. Just trying to figure out if it's going to snow or if it's going to rain or be sunny or whatever's happening here in DC. The weather is all over the place.
Well, no matter what's going on, both of us, I think, are doing a little bit better than Kristi. Noem.
Whew.
I made the joke today. Joy is not able to join us because she is being a panelist supreme at a panel in Atlanta today. And so I called in our good friend, my friend for life, Gabe. And so we're going to chop it up and talk about a couple of topics. Obviously, the one that broke through most of the noise today was the unceremonious firing of Kristi, hence the name of the show. How you going to get fired on your day off? Like, you weren't even really doing very much. And one of the things, I don't know if you saw this, Gabe, but one of the interesting things is that apparently she was not aware that she had been fired while she was giving remarks in front of a group.
She was like, I gotta go.
And so I made the joke, you got a job, Kristi? No.
No.
It's so sad. And the thing that's extra crazy is that the person that Trump has on deck to replace her is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, the least Cherokee member of the Cherokee Nation I think I've ever seen. And unlike Donald Trump would have you believe, he is not the first indigenous person to serve. He's the first since 2005, I believe, but he is not the first. And he is, as they say, white passing. So you wouldn't even, if he's going to criticize Elizabeth Warren, he certainly needs to criticize this dude because damn.
He just looked like a white dude.
He really does. It's just, I mean, I don't know what else one would say. He does present. He passing as some people in my family did. So that is clearly the thing that he is doing. He is passing, and he's passing on a whole lot of Trump's foolishness and chicanery because he is about as MAGA as is possible.
Yeah. This is like he's like the Magic Johnson of passing. It's just
wow. Yeah, he said that the no look pass. So among the things that also it was not out of hand that Noem was fired. You are a Politico and you are in the district. And one of the things, this was, she was in the Senate again. Now, her first time didn't go well. She was less boisterous than Pam Bondi. Put a pin in that because Pam has another subpoena. But Pam was a clown. Kristi was just unflappable. She would stick on her talking points and stick with her lies. She was much more graceful, I would say, in how she dealt with questioning. Maybe when you have that much Botox, it's not possible to feel emotions in your face. But this time, she really got taken to the woodshed on a couple of topics. Why don't you talk about the Corey Lewandowski of it all?
Yeah, I mean, well, so watching the hearing where definitely on the House side, I believe Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, I think she's in the LA area, if I'm not mistaken.
She is.
Yeah, she was asking this woman under oath if she cheated on her husband, and her husband's sitting
right next,
right where that bitch is, right there, like how. And then when she goes to answer, she kind of goes into the usual MAGA, positioning of just kind of talking until the clock runs out and just kind of filling the void with gibberish.
Stuff.
Yeah, just stuff. And it was not a good moment. She did not have a good day at school. It was rough. And it's Corey Lewandowski is another member of the Trump administration. He also has his own his whole own chapter as far as the craziness of MAGA world, and
whole other wife.
yeah, it's
So there's that.
it's insane. It's insane, and but I love how the congresswoman tied it back to, I'm not just asking gotcha questions. This is a reflection of your judgment as a leader. You were cheating on your husband, who's right there, with someone who is also married, and it's just, yeah, you got to go.
I think one of the things that was really compelling to me was when the senator was talking about the plane. And she tried to say, oh, we're saving billions of dollars on flights because we're not using public carriers as we deport people. And he's like, but why do you have a bedroom suite on the
plane? Right. You basically,
like, how is that saving? Like, and here's the thing. I fly across the country all the time. You fly across the country. I have flown internationally. And like, I flew from Hawaii to Australia. That's like a 12, 14-hour flight. It's not nice in a coach seat, but you can recline. Some of those carriers have a little more common sense. Some of these weren't under my chin. And when you talk about saving taxpayer money, when it's $250 million in jets anyway, and these are private jets, how many seats can be taken up with a bedroom that had a queen bed in it? That looked like a suite that was the full width of a plane. So that's at least 17, 18, 19 seats that you got. 18 probably, at least 6 rows.
You got a queen bedroom in the sky. I don't even think the president has that. I don't even
and had the nerve to have one of those diagonal blankets that don't hardly look like it should fit on the bed, just kind of drapes and drapes. And she's like, abba dabba dabba dabba. And it's like, Kristi, bruh, like, seriously? And there was another senator, to your point, because the husband, you said he was back by the bench. His head was almost the same size as her head. So I'm going to say he was one row back. And the senator is like, so you had a special member of your staff flying with you on these blop-de-bloops and bloop-de-bloops. And the husband's like
you couldn't write it any better than that. It's just like,
why are you busting all my business? You got all my business out in the streets. It was a beautiful thing to behold. And like I say, this is the second time people have known about the Lewandowski forever. It's like an open secret since things began. He got shuffled and moved, and then he's the special blah blah blah. $200 million in ads for Ice Barbie and DHS Barbie, and it's paid to a company that didn't exist 8 days before they got the contract.
I had to
look up about corruption.
I had to look up to see if she even knew how to ride a horse, and apparently she's pretty good at it. But at the same time, the pictures look like AI to me. They look like, if you remember those NFTs that the president was selling.
Oh yeah,
It looked like that. It looked.
Trump
like
is an astronaut. Trump is a baseball player. Trump is a superhero. Trump
is
whatever.
Not any of these things.
I mean, you say that she may not know how to ride a horse, but she's Annie Oakley when she's shooting at a dog. So I don't doubt that she could probably do some pretty cool tricks.
Fastest gun in the West.
It's a lot, and she is definitely doing the lot. So among the other things that happened, now Markwayne Mullin, it's not a surprise that he was tapped to do the job because he is literally like a Trump sock puppet. But he was in the news only yesterday because the House brought up this resolution about the war powers. The Senate took it up first. The Senate voted it down. John Fetterman, stroke victim to the stars, voted with the Republicans. Rand Paul flipped sides and voted with the Democrats. And it was basically a partisan trade-off. We got one that left and we got one that came. And so the vote was what the vote was. And then they took it to the House, and the House also voted it down. Shocker. Now, the rationale behind these votes is kind of crazy to me, because basically the only way you could articulate it is that we know it was illegal. We know we've called it a war, but now that it has started, we can't not keep going.
Right.
So he gets a pass because he started a war that we can't stop. That's crazy.
Everything about it is crazy. And then you hear different members of the administration giving different justifications for the war. And it's almost like they're kind of shopping around to see which reason sticks. So
they're
that
workshopping.
And right. It's just like, okay, so at the end of this, then they're going to be like, all right, which one played the best? And that's the one we'll stick with. It's just like, this is, they weren't even doing that in Iraq.
The thing is that none of them are sticking. The one that sounds most true is what Rubio gave us, which is we knew Israel was going to attack. And when Israel attacked, Iran was going to attack us, although they don't have any intercontinental ballistic missiles. So they were going to attack American interests, which is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what Rubio said they were going to do. We haven't deterred them from doing any of it. And more on that a little bit later, because there is a cost. We talk about blood and treasure. There's been a little bit of blood. There's a lot of treasure. But he's saying we had to because we knew Israel was going to strike and we knew we would get pulled into it. And so the natural question is, if you're the leader of the free world and the most powerful leader of the hottest country in the world, when do you get on the phone and say, Bibi, don't do this? I'm telling you, don't do it, Bibi. My small hands are telling you, don't bomb Iran. Don't do it. I ran so far away. One of my favorite songs, but don't do it. That's your role, bro. Like,
yeah.
Name the successful Middle Eastern incursion of the United States.
Can't. I have degrees, plural, in history. I cannot tell you one time when that has worked. It doesn't work. It can't work. We have to keep in mind that America is 250 years old. Right. Iran is 7,000 years old.
They had a dude in gold body chains throwing spears in the Peloponnesian War, and here we are kicking it like we just introduced the big arch, like bow down.
Right.
What are we doing?
Has anybody heard of Gilgamesh?
I mean,
Gilgamesh, the first superhero. He's
all of the gills. He's even in the Eternals, the worst MCU movie. Listen,
it's wild.
There is a lot that can be said about this war. And if I could turn to my good friend Vizzini in The Princess Bride, the first rule is never go into a land war with Asia, but only slightly less known has never met the Sicilian when death is on the line. Bro, you are not going to win. We have done this so many times. George W. Bush put us $4 trillion in debt because of Iraq. And legit, his plan was, we'll kill the Ayatollah, and then they're going to select a person I approve of.
It on its face, it's ridiculous. Because
the Ayatollah's son is the person that they're looking to. The Ayatollah was in his 80s. He was on his way out.
Right.
He was angry grandpa. Now, whether or not his son would have become the next one, or whether the mullahs would have selected somebody else, because they do seem to like older dudes. But now we'll never know, because they've kind of thrust the son up, and he's going to say, well, the son's not acceptable to me. Bruh, you engaged in a regime change war, and this is where the regime is.
And you said going in, the words regime change.
Regime. We don't like these people. There was an imminent attack despite the fact that we utterly obliterated their nuclear capacity. So that one almost immediately went away, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say less than a year ago you obliterated their nuclear capacity and now they have a bomb and they can attack us. That doesn't work. Plus, they were in negotiations to stop enriching uranium as you were bombing them in Ramadan.
Literally,
extra dick move points.
I think the weekend before the actual attack by the U.S. and Israel, I think the Iranian negotiator was saying that he thought talks were going positively. He was optimistic. And then we blow up school.
And then So, and that's the first thing. Thank you, Israel. Thank you for not, I don't know how you get something like that wrong, but you got that wrong. And you got it the most horribly wrong you possibly could. On the heels of Gaza, where you were already tagged with the genocide grudge. Now you're killing little Muslim girls. That's the first news story of the strike.
In a sovereign country. In another sovereign country.
And then it was, well, we had to support Iran. Then it was imminent attack again. Then it was, it's not really a war, despite the fact that you renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, and Hegseth can't get on television without having a war vomitus coming out of his mouth. War fighters, war planes, war strikes, we're at war. This is what war is like. Trump is talking about people die during a war. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
No, it's good for distracting from the Epstein files. That's what it's for. Distractions from Jeff Epstein. Say it again now. War.
It was a knee jerk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's so hard to be in a country where he literally ran. They literally had articles. Stephen Miller saying, if you vote for Kamala Harris, she will send your children to Iran. Literally.
Here we are.
And here we are. America first. They actually trotted out make Iran great again before they bombed Iran. So you went from MAGA to MIGA. And that sounds way too close to a word I don't use. MIGA, please.
MIGA, please.
I mean, it's insanity. It's really, really insanity. And that's where we are as a nation right now. So Mark Wayne Mullen, back to Mark Wayne Mullen, during an interview, the justification for voting it down is that we're not at war. It's a special military operation. And so he was talking to a reporter and he said, he mentioned the word war. And he said, well, war hasn't been declared. No, they declared war on us. And it's like, no, you said we're at war.
Right.
Well, that was a misspoke. First of all, that was a misspoke.
A declaration of war?
Is a misspoke. Also, your name is Mark Wayne. So that is one of those Southern combos I've never heard. Now I've heard a lot of different combos. Bobby Jean, Billie Jean, a boy named Sue.
Peggy Sue.
But Mark Wayne with an unironic, there's no break. It's not even Mark space Wayne. It's Mark Wayne.
Mark Wayne.
Mark Wayne. It's almost a hood name.
Yeah.
Yo, Mark Wayne.
Hey, Mark Wayne.
You about to be Secretary of Homeland Security? Take care of the brothers, Mark Wayne.
Exactly. I know Marks, I know Waynes.
Just Mark Wayne.
Not a Mark Wayne.
So here is Kristi Noem surprised that she ain't got a job. She's giving one last Restylane plumped up face, one last Mar-a-Lago makeover. And she has the nerve to have like a turquoise medallion as well. Joe tacky ass. And here is absolutely not white member of the Cherokee Nation, Mark Wayne Mullins. And one gets the sense that he hasn't mulled over anything in his entire life. He's one of those guys that shoots from the hip. What is on your desk as you were dealing with stuff today? What was the thing that hit the most attention for you?
With this situation?
Well, I mean, Kristi was big news. The ongoing not war with Iran is big news.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us your opinion about the primaries that took place on Tuesday? We can start off with, of course, Texas.
Yeah, that was an interesting race. I think I mean, we talked about this the last time. I think that was when Jasmine entered the race. But really seeing the results of this, I think I think there was that issue last night. I went to sleep and they were still like counting votes, or they had stopped counting the votes that had come in after a certain time, and there was all this confusion. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, is this was this an organic kind of kerfuffle that went on, or was this one of those things where you're seeing the judiciary try to insert itself and kind of tip the scales a little bit in electoral or in elections as we look towards the midterm? So, of course, the midterm is going to be here before you know it. Members of Congress, they're going to be checking out really around like June to start campaigning for their jobs and also campaigning for other people's jobs. And then you have so many folks that have retired from Congress. So there's going to be so many vacancies or so many competitive races to fill some of those seats. Others are a little less competitive than others, but at the same time, it just makes you, wonder, okay, is this, a prelude to the midterm? So I think that's probably my biggest concern right now.
One of the things that leapt out to me was that Dan Crenshaw lost his primary run.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even been in Congress that long. And he gave a whole eye for his country. And he wasn't MAGA enough. He had the nerve to open his good eye and say something bad about Trump one time or 7 times. And they voted him down. And the guy that they have replaced him with is Mr. AK-47, which I don't know how that's going to play. He's in a Houston adjacent district. And so one imagines that even with the redrawn things, that it might turn into a flippable seat when you kick out a Navy SEAL veteran who served and lost an eye. Like, it doesn't, in a year where we are engaged in war, it wasn't enough to save him. Now, it's interesting. His race was the only race in Texas that Trump did not endorse. He didn't endorse him, nor did he endorse his opponent. The only race that he didn't endorse. And I mean, on the House side, he didn't endorse in the Senate race either, which takes us to the second part of the equation. Cornyn barely eked out a plurality of votes, but of course didn't get the majority. And so now he's headed into a runoff with
Ken Paxton,
who is perhaps one of the most corrupt persons in Texas history. And that says a lot. That says an awful lot. But he went on a little not Twitter storm today and said, you've got to drop out. Whoever I endorse, the other person's got to drop out. We can't waste this money. We got to go this left-wing maniac, Tallarico, da-da-da-da-da. And Paxton has already said, I am not dropping. And the conventional wisdom on the ground in Texas is that, especially now that Tallarico is who you're running against, putting up the scandal-plagued Paxton, whose wife left him on a biblical basis. She used biblical basis for the separation. So it really does seem like he's a less likely candidate to be able to prevail, except MAGA doesn't like Cornyn. And Trump really doesn't like Cornyn either. So in the Texas SCOTUS doing what they did and the Dallas whole stuff and the confusion and that's Jasmine Crockett's home district and all of the stuff that went on with that and keeping the polling places open 2 more hours and everything else. The flip side is, just like the gerrymandering is kind of rebounding on them, because Tallarico had huge Latino support and Trump's Latino support has literally tanked. He's down like 47 points, I think, nationally with Latino voters. So you built these 5 districts, which resulted in California building 5 districts, which resulted in Virginia building 9 districts. Indiana did not fall in line. Kansas didn't fall in line. I think maybe, I'm trying to think, it seems like there was another state that did go with redistricting. But the thing, who was it?
Florida, maybe? Or are they still talking about it?
No, I don't think Florida did switch anything up. Utah, I know, said no. So the point is that you did this trying to create 5 safe seats, and you may have lost yourself 3 seats. You may lose all of those seats because you did it on the basis of the Latino vote, and the Latinos are running away from it right now. So
building your political movement, especially one where the centerpiece of it is deporting Latinos.
Right.
You're trying to build your political movement around one of the most inconsistent, I guess, kind of voting blocks out there. They're not black voters. Latino voters are not a monolith, just like black voters are not a monolith. But at the same time, it's like they're not as reliable year over year, cycle over cycle as maybe black voters are. Black votes, I mean, I think what it probably get like 90% of the black male voters, something like that, or
it was
whatever.
87 of black voters, 92 of black women.
And it's like at the same time, we were seeing, getting, surrogates from the Democratic campaign trying to blame black men. And it's like, okay, that's literally not reality. So you're trying to trust an even less reliable voting bloc, as well as not even just Latinos, but also just, more working class people who are a lot more cognizant of how the president's policies or how Congress or how really what's going on in the country is affecting their wallets. They're looking at that every day. So it made no sense when they went in with this, as far as like trying to establish this foothold with Latino voters at a time where it's just like, I mean, knowing that they were going to do what they've done as far as the mass deportations and
it goes beyond Latino voters, because a lot of the farmers, there have been more farm bankruptcies in Trump's second administration than in the history of the country ever.
Yeah.
And those farmers used Latino labor. So you've got this cycle of destruction. It's a Ouroboros of racism and rising costs and depleted workforce. And the thing is that I saw somebody who was doing a bit of a rant about, you up on Isaiah, is it McCain or McLean?
Isaiah Martin, maybe?
Isaiah Martin.
Yeah.
And these MAGA guys, he failed in his run for Congress, but he's a sharp brother. And they were talking about these things that he has done. He's doing 80 million people voted for this. And he's like, no, but they didn't, though. They voted for the removal of violent criminals.
Yeah.
And we've said it on the show before. When you are rounding up school children, abuelas, landscapers, construction workers, migrant farmers, that is not who anybody thought. That was the dirty little secret about immigration in this country. If you were picking our food, you're good. And all of these things you keep trotting out. You trot out Larkin. Is that her name? The one young lady that they keep talking about who got murdered or was killed by
Laken Riley?
Laken Riley.
Laken Riley, yeah.
You keep trotting out that name. Well, do you say anything about Laken? That's one woman. And guess what? The guy was arrested.
So what are we talking about?
You're not talking. You don't have that many Laken Rileys. Even if you had 100, you don't have 3,000 a day.
No, and you never will.
You never will. And now you've got the ICE people who aren't getting paid. Now you have the ICE people who understand the actual terms of their contract, and they know that they're never going to get the $50,000, and they're going to have to pay back the bonuses that they have gotten. They can't afford to pay back the bonuses because they're not getting paid anyway. And their families hate them, and their spouses are leaving them, and their children look at them crazy, and they're getting their lunch taken away at school because their daddy's with ICE. It's unsustainable.
Everything about
and courts are finally really punching back hard and talking about how this isn't going to work. You can't just be doing this. They finally gotten to the point where that's what they're doing. And
it took them a while, but I think we're definitely seeing a lot more of a kind of punching back as far as the judiciary, and you have judges even criticizing the president and the administration for ignoring court orders, lawful court orders.
Right, which is definitely rare.
Yeah.
We had Phil was talking about the Iran war, that the U.S. created this issue back in 1952 on behalf of the Brits. So of course, yes, Gabe, as a historian, you would know that. And Mike, good friend of the show, Michael Bartlett says, got to spend these munitions before the expiration date. This is one of the things I wanted to come back to because we don't have enough munitions. And somebody much smarter than me, who is much more aware of geopolitics than I am, especially Middle Eastern politics, noted that Iran has been planning for this. And so Iran has all of these Shahed drones. Mm-hmm. And these drones cost them about $5,000. They look kind of like paper planes, but paper planes with bombs. And they cost about $5,000. Well, the missiles that we are using to intercept the drones are between $1 million and $4 million a piece. And so they got 100,000 drones, and we've got a much smaller number of the munitions that we're using to guard against this. And they can roll off these drones. It's like Lucille Ball of the Chocolate Factory. They just keep rolling the drones off. It takes us years to replace it. We don't have any more Patriot missiles anymore. That means Ukraine doesn't have them. So that means Ukraine's got to get its munitions to fight off Russia from these other places. Meanwhile, Iran's like, going ahead. Mm-hmm. They're Ali Frasering us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No,
they're sitting there. They got the woman from when we were kings, and they're just sucking all our stuff. We're not going to have no more missiles in a minute, and they're going to have still like 80,000 drones.
I saw this guy explain it this way, where he was basically laying out the fact that America has a lot of shiny and a lot of expensive. But as far as, he used an example of an aircraft carrier. He was like, an aircraft carrier costs about $1 billion. If you send maybe 1,000 of these drones at this aircraft carrier, you're going to do a lot of damage to that $1 billion aircraft carrier. And like Tom just said, these drones, he's like $5,000 a pop. So
that ain't nothing.
Like, it's just insane. And it's also like, I heard the foreign minister of Iran say today, or maybe it was yesterday, but basically he was just saying, like, we're waiting for the ground invasion. If the Americans want to invade us on the ground, they're more than welcome to, because they know that this is a terrain, this is a place where you have to go in with a ground invasion in order to actually accomplish the regime change that you want to see. You can't do regime change from the air. It's never worked. It can't work. You have to go in. And Iran is counting on the fact that if Americans do launch this ground invasion, then it's a war of attrition. These Iranians, this is becoming a holy war for them.
Absolutely, because you created a martyr.
You created a martyr. And it's a war of choice for the United States, for Israel, for all these other countries that may enter. But at the same time, for the Iranians, you will never fight harder than somebody who is doing this, because this is literally their religion.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but it was something that popped up on my feed that I thought was very interesting about the way this war is being waged. And so on the topic of price and what it costs to wage a war, we got reports today that one of the things that the Iranians have done in order to cause the wasting of munitions is they have painted planes and helicopters on empty runways with special paint that gives thermo energy. So this is what the plane looks like from the air. And they painted it in an they did it anamorphically so that it would look in the right way from the sky. Yeah. These are paintings of planes on the screen. And Israel used its remote missiles to bomb paintings. So they went to Mosque Depot in Tehran, got some Sherman Williams, painted these planes on the ground, and they're wasting $1 million missiles on it.
Like that literally looked like if you hadn't have told me that, I would have saw that and been like, oh, that's either an F-14 or an F-18, and wouldn't have known the difference.
It's an FPMS 186 is what it is. So this is what is going on, and they are. You would have thought they would have learned a lesson from Vietnam, and a lot of Americans, I don't think, really understand. Iraq is a much smaller country than Iran.
Yeah.
Iran has 90 million people in it. That's just under a third of the population of the United States. And a lot of those people hate us right now. It's like when we were propping up the Shah, you weren't born, but I was born. And the Shah of Iran was overthrown.
Mm-hmm.
The Iranian guard took over that whole Argo thing and the hostages and Jimmy Carter negotiating the release, but them not releasing them until Reagan was inaugurated. But it was actually Jimmy Carter's plan. All of that was about the deposing of the Shah. And that was the beginning of the military thing. Ayatollah Khomeini, the first one, not Khomeini, was the one. And that was the big scary person in Iran throughout my childhood. And then you had the president in his bad suit, who kind of took over for a while as the kind of the face fronting person, even though it's an Islamic republic, so the Ayatollah was still the guy technically in charge, but you had a president who looked more like a regular person who was representing the rhetoric on behalf of Iran, kind of like the prime minister. Yeah. And then we got Ayatollah Khomeini, who, stuff was happening. Stuff's always happening in the Middle East. It's a volatile region. And they have a lot of oil, 6 largest oil reserves in the country, and they control the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, is shut down.
Weird.
And, obviously, China they take about a third of the oil that comes through there. Japan gets a lot of oil from there. And so just the strait being closed right now, we haven't seen a dramatic spike. But I know for me personally, in California, because California is perhaps a bit more responsive to oil prices than a lot of states in the country. Prices are up.
Yeah.
At the pump. And that is not going to not be true if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let a stray missile accidentally hit one of them Maersk boats with tens of hundreds of thousand million gallons of oil. Because I'll tell you right now, if we go up to $150 a barrel and folks' gas be $6 and $7 a gallon, you can forget it. Nobody's gonna care about that liberation because you attacking their pocketbooks right here in the US of A.
Yeah, it's that's the center of the world. The Strait of Hormuz. That's the Strait of the world, or the center of the world. It's just what Iran is doing right now, as far as, I think at first for some people, they're just kind of like, why are they attacking everybody? We just fighting everybody. It's like, no, there's method to the madness. They've been thinking about this for a while.
And they're hitting they're hitting the Emirates because the Emirates are friendly. They're hitting Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is friendly. Saudi Arabia has announced a whole suite of Trump investments.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one of the commercials. And it was like, breathe in the fresh air. Yeah, it's fresh because nothing can live in 200 degrees, ass. Like, yes, you can see more stars than you can neighbors because there's no pollution because it's 200 degrees in a desert. Like, you think Americans really want to be over there like that?
No.
Can't eat bacon? You're tripping, man.
You gotta dress head. You gotta wear a hijab or cover your head, things like that. It's like people ain't trying to do all that sometimes, and it's like
go ahead.
No, just with them attacking, Abu Dhabi and the UAE. It's like that scene is like swift. Yeah, these places are seen as peaceful. This is places where there's a lot of wealth, a lot of foreign wealth tied up. So all of a sudden, this place that's supposed to be safe for your wealth and for you personally isn't so safe. These people, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
No, it's done. And guess what? I don't care if Zendaya looks sexy in a still suit. Ain't that many Americans moving over to the Middle East?
No.
and especially with the Trump brand. I don't know if he believes this. I don't know if he is fully cognizant or aware. When he is no longer on this earth, there is no Trump brand anymore. Them kids are not carrying it.
No.
It's going to wash away. And Melania is going to live the last 30 years of her existence or whatever it is. And, maybe in the smaller apartment that she has in Trump Tower, because there's so much in love that she and Barron have their own apartments on completely different floors. When he's got the top 2 floors of Trump Tower, that's not enough space because you're still breathing the same air as him. So you have your own apartment. So that you can sleep with your sugar baby in your own apartment.
I just wish people would hear that and put clues together, put 2 and 2 together. Like, hey,
put 2 and 7 together. So let's get back because we're at around 40 minutes, and I definitely want to talk about this story. So we talked about Texas politics for a bit, but of course, the biggest race, the thing that everybody was most consumed with, was Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico. Now, count me as a person who, were I in Texas, and I've said this, I would have voted for Jasmine Crockett. I think Jasmine Crockett is an excellent candidate. I think she's passionate. I think she's a fighter. I think she is ready to take it to these people. And so I definitely would have voted for her. But just like when we were on air on the night of the 2024 elections, the Black woman Bradley effect, the Bradleisha effect, definitely hit. She was up in most of the polls. She was even, or maybe within the margin of error in a couple of polls, but she was up by double digits on a number of polls. And she ended up falling to Tallarico. And it's unfortunate. I would have preferred her as the candidate, but it didn't surprise me. And I have to say, I don't think Tallarico has a worse chance. I think all things considered, because it is still Texas. It is still a state that Trump has won handily. And redistricting isn't such a big deal at the Senate level, which is why I think Crockett went for it, because she wouldn't have had to worry about defending herself in her own district. Yeah. But it was still going to be a heavy lift. Colin Allred, a football star, a Black male football star, NFL star, went to Baylor in Texas, could not win. Now, that may have had as much to do with the fact that he married a white woman, but the point is that he couldn't win. And so I'm not certain that Jasmine would have prevailed. Jasmine Crockett, I'm not that familiar with her. Representative Crockett would have prevailed in the general. But I'm very pleased for about 2 things. One, that it was close. It really was close. There was a time when he was up by 9-10 points, and it did not end that far apart. So Dallas did help. Dallas, you came through for your representative. So kudos to you on that. The second thing is that she pivoted and he pivoted, and they pivoted toward each other immediately. It wasn't days and days and days of Hillary Clinton sour grapes about losing to Barack Obama. There was never really an ill word spoken between them. Yeah. There were anti-Crockett ads, there were anti-Tallarico ads, but you never really saw James Tallarico saying Jasmine Crockett is a whatever. And then he immediately, within the first 2 minutes of his victory speech, he said, I want to thank Representative Crockett for running this race with me. He didn't say against me. He said with me, which I thought was important. And then he spoke directly to Jasmine Crockett's people. And he said, listen, you all really supported your candidate. And I know I have to work to earn your vote. Yeah. And excellent. I thought that was very conciliatory. And I thought, Jasmine Crockett came out with a statement that says, look, thank you. And we fought the good fight. And now we need to really come together to make sure that we win Texas. And I thought that was great. I would have loved to see Senator Crockett, but she's got another cycle. It's only 2 years if she decides she wants to come back to the House. It's only 2 years, and in 2 years, I don't know. She's going to be positioning herself to be somebody's vice president.
Could be. This is
Do some
definitely a chance. With this race, I definitely agree with the points that you raised. It's a nice change of pace to see kind of what we used to see when it comes to these races, these types of races, especially a primary. But I think something that this race really showed, or was trying to see or explore, was really what approach works going forward. Is it kind of I won't say loud, because that can have all kinds of connotations for Black women, but for the more aggressive, more attack kind of forward candidate versus the more reserved, more reconciliatory candidate that's trying to bring in those conservative voters, trying to bring in those Christian voters that are disgusted with what they're seeing from the Trump administration. So you have these two kind of schools of thought in this race. And maybe the James Talrico way is what works for Texas, but James Talrico isn't replicable in every race, in every state, in every district. It's a district by district, state by state, case by case. So I do appreciate the fact that we were able to kind of see, in a sense, which philosophy, if you will, kind of prevailed in this way. But I think they both ran great races, and that not seeing that nastiness, I think that's something that is going to resonate, especially as Democrats go to the polls when we start thinking about the midterms. It's just, this is how it can be. Or when we start seeing more of these races, just like, hey, we don't have to tear each other apart. We're on the same team. We just have different philosophies about going about it.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know that they actually have different political philosophies. They certainly have different philosophies of how to deal with the opposition.
Right.
But on the points, they were pretty much lockstep with each other. And absolutely. I think it was refreshing after the New York mayoral race, where Mamdani played it clean, but those other people were like in that ass. So, to see these two candidates, saying, look, we're both in this race. We both think that we can represent a vision for Texas that will work, and we're not going to attack each other. I agree. I think that the cordiality was both refreshing, and it gives a template for, there were a couple of other races where the clear Democratic winner prevailed and the other one dropped out, blah, blah, blah. And I think all of that is great. I think it is hopeful. And again, because Talarico is a pastor who leads with that kind of quiet faith, but also he's passionate and he knows how to get his talking points in, and he's very good with messaging. He's like a Texas Buttigieg, kind of.
Yeah, I can see
that. In terms of his ability to articulate and to not be derailed and to not go off point. So I think that is all in his favor, and it's an excellent contrast to Paxton. A white preacher who appears to be godly going against a guy whose wife left him for biblical divorce and who is enmeshed in a whole bunch of scandals. There are some voters in Texas who are like, you know what? I like this fella. Mm-hmm. He seems like a good fella.
It's a good
and I'm hoping the good fella will work, because Colin versus Cruz didn't work out the way we would have hoped. No. But, Cruz is coming up again. And, maybe Jasmine Crockett might have a chance to run against Cruz. Cruz is certainly not going to be very popular. And that'll be after Trump's administration is over and folded. And so that's kind of the setup that I'm looking for. I did want to hop on a story that Bob Breeden brought up to our attention. It wasn't something that I was aware of. And it involves racism in Florida. Shocker. So at Florida International University, you have the Republican Party. Now, this is a Turning Point USA picture, but it's used in the article. They had a group chat. What could possibly happen with young Republicans in a group chat? Can you think of anything with some young Republicans in a group chat that we heard about last year at all? Was that a thing? Was there like a Vanity Fair article about a thing with the Republican group chat that was kind of crazy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just a whole lot of filth, flying filth. From remembering correctly.
Well, these college Republicans basically named the group chat after what they called Nazi heaven. I'm not sure if that was Valhalla. Not Nazi heaven is and Valhalla are quite often interchangeable.
Ooh.
But not only racism, not only anti-Semitism, but also, shocker, misogyny, and just talking about multiple ways to kill Black people. Florida.
Ooh, man.
The leading Republican nominee for governor is a a melanated person. Black implies and connotes some things which are certainly not true about Byron Donald.
Oh, Byron.
Byron, who may not get Trump's endorsement, by the way.
Shocking.
I mean,
nobody. Well, I won't say nobody because Tim Scott's up there, but he's one of those that has been working.
Oh yeah,
working for that approval.
Yeah, Tim kind of burned himself with the Obama video meme. Yeah, that kind of put him probably on the back shelf forever. But to his credit, I will say Byron Donald is not like that North Carolina cat, the African Nazi dude.
That was something.
He is not him. He is a lot more on message, and he presents on the surface a much more level-headed person. He is unflappable. He's a person who is willing to lie with a particular level of ease. So he's good at that. But his couple of semesters at FAMU is not enough to carry him over the finish line with Black voters. And what I think we will see is that my good friend Daryl Parks is running for mayor of Tallahassee. He will be an excellent mayor. And so we will see. I mean, there are going to be some things that are going to be emerging in Florida. We have that one representative in Leon County who is retiring. He's just done. His name is done, and he's done. And so that again, every little piece of attrition in the House is a problem. And now we've got the one guy in Texas that they're saying you need to stop. You need to suspend your campaign. You do not need to run for re-election. They haven't called for him to resign because Mike Johnson can't afford that. If that guy resigns, or if another person dies or another person leaves, you could possibly have Hakeem Jeffries as the Speaker of the House. Now, a lot of people are not fans of Hakeem Jeffries. I get it. There's a lot of AIPAC there. There's a lot of what some people would say equivocation there. Hakeem Jeffries is my sans. We both pledged Spring '89. And we both light skinned. It's hard. It's hard for me to hate Hakeem. It's very, very hard.
I get it.
But I understand. And I do think because he's a New York Democrat, and so that means certain things. It does mean certain things. I get it. I don't agree with it. But to the extent that we're not going to get Jasmine Crockett as Speaker of the House, I think there are possibly worse choices. And if we were able to wrest control of the House from Johnson before the midterms, it would mean a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing with this idea of, what if Hakeem Jeffries gets a challenge when he is running for the speakership again? What if the polling is so bad to where maybe AOC, maybe, someone else that is good at the marketing.
So let's tease that out. Who do you think, because he's the minority leader right now.
Yeah.
Who do you think could mount a reasonable challenge? Are you saying that there might be someone like an AOC who would go in a first round ballot just to test the waters and see maybe how well she could do it and whether or not she could be credible? Because here's the thing. I don't know. My gut tells me that AOC is just too toxic for any Republicans to support, whereas I could see a few Republicans, because there aren't enough Democrats to do it. You need some Republicans to do it, even though Mike wouldn't have the majority anymore. We would not, neither would we have the majority. So you would need some Republicans to defect. And I wonder, because Mike has been so ineffective, I wonder if Jeffries might be able to pull that. But who do you think, aside from AOC, because we mentioned her, who do you think might be possible to be considered as a speaker?
I think that you have Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky, who has been on Trump's ass about these Epstein files, along with his Democrat counterpart. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we need to, I guess it depends on if President Trump is around. I think that if he's not, I think you could see a situation where there's more Republicans that would be willing to support a more middle of the road kind of, a centrist like Thomas Massie, who is, I mean, he's been consistent. Every time there's been a vote on raising the debt ceiling, he votes no. That's just, the Republicans have to literally take into account the fact that Thomas Massie is going to vote no on, the things that he says he's going to vote no on. And I think that that's something that you could see like a groundswell of voters, of people kind of wanting to have that more centrist voice, and kind of, if we are thinking about kind of having someone that isn't so partisan, I think that he could emerge in a situation like that. I think that if we're,
do you think enough Democrats, because it's almost certain he is considered a MAGA traitor. The four people who voted, so Boebert, Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she was still in it, those people are basically persona non grata. And so my question about Massie would be, I don't think enough Dems would support him over Hakeem, and I don't think enough Republicans, there wouldn't be anywhere near enough Republicans to get him. I think they would rather stick with Johnson than try somebody who is perceived as antagonistic to Trump. I think they feel that would harm them too greatly in the midterms to go against Trump that ballsily by putting in his chief Republican opponent. What do you think about somebody like Eric Swalwell, who's testing out gubernatorial waters? And so he would be clearly a placeholder. He would be a person who might only go through the midterms. Do you think someone like that might be able to get the support, or is he too far from the nexus of power being a California rep?
Yeah, I think California hurts him. I think he's been one of Trump's biggest critics. I think that I don't know. I think that makes it to where Republicans that are a little more vulnerable and a lot more dependent on House Republicans that are a lot more dependent on an endorsement from Donald Trump. Because keep in mind, House members only have 2 years versus senators where they have 6 years. So it's like, you are a lot more closely tied to what the president does and the president's opinion of you, right? So I think with a member like that, it really depends on where Trump's influence is. I think that where Trump's influence is at that point, because of course his approval numbers are non-existent, basically.
Yeah, no, they're ass. Now I want to take up Bob's question. Here's my challenge on that supposition, Bob. Trump has already been betrayed by people who didn't have the ideological strength. The ideological experience that Cruz has. And Cruz strikes me as a person who would be much more Coney Barrett than Alito. Because Cruz secretly hates Trump.
Yeah.
And if Cruz got a lifetime appointment, yes, Jasmine Crockett could run for the seat. I don't think Trump would give Cruz a bucket of urine to put himself out if he were on fire.
No.
I can't see Trump being that magnanimous because it doesn't really get him anything. Unless it's like Sotomayor, who is a little older. If Sotomayor were to leave and he had the opportunity to appoint someone, he would definitely want to appoint someone. But I think he would go to Eileen Cannon way before he would go to Cruz, because Eileen Cannon is a puppet. Eileen Cannon is never voting against anything that he would do. The only thing that would be tricky about Eileen Cannon, if she's elevated, then that issue about that report on the Mar-a-Lago documents would then have to shift to somebody else, maybe the 11th. And without her sitting in the bench to sit on it, it might be more easily overturned.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see Cruz on SCOTUS, not by Trump.
Cannon's passed all the loyalty tests she needs to, I think. I mean, Trump's not forgetting the fact that he's a free man and was able to successfully run for president and win because of her. A big part because of her.
And the only reason he didn't pick her over Pam Bondi was because she needed to sit on them files.
Mm-hmm. And sit she is.
And I think probably, Eileen Cannon would be perhaps the most devastating addition to the Supreme Court. I don't know, since the beginning of the Supreme Court. I just can't imagine a lesser qualified person, and especially someone who is so so transparently unqualified and so nakedly in support of Trump that it would be catastrophic. Of course, I don't think the Senate would confirm her, but they haven't confirmed any of his AGs, frankly, except for Jeanine Pirro. Look at what that's done.
Jeanine
Pinot Noir. I've got a box of wine for every occasion.
She's the worst.
Super bad. And by the way, not only were they not able to get an indictment against the senators on the illegal thing, they also had to quietly, we're just going to back away from the auto thing. So we can't bring things. Can't do the auto.
They couldn't even get sandwich guy.
I mean, right.
She couldn't even get sandwich guy.
Invite a ham sandwich guy. And that's kind of the craziness of it. Do you have anything else before we wrap the show? We are at a tidy little hour right now. And before you even say whether or not you have something, I would like to thank Gabe for coming in and sitting in on the show. We love to have people who are friends of the show to sit in on the show. So please DM us, let us know if you would like to sit on it. And also, while you're considering that, go on ahead and hit that subscribe button, that like button, get your notifications for whenever we stream a show, and invite a friend to come. It really does help us. We've been seeing a spike in viewership, and that's attributable both to the fact that you all enjoy us, and just by enjoying us and commenting and engaging as much as you do, it helps drive our algorithm a little bit. But also, it's apparent that some of you are sharing, and we are getting some reach beyond our sharpest of Sharpies. So I do want to thank you, Gabe, for joining us. And with that, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to bring up as we close the show?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that we are in a very strange time. Of course, seeing Kristi Noem in that hearing and seeing Republicans being on the offensive, or really just kind of taking her behind the woodshed on national television. You know, a single thug teardrop, but at the same time, it's like we'll see more of that when people within the administration fall out of favor with Trump. So I think this is the first of many. I think.
Yeah. I'm going to, you can drop in the chat, who do you think is going to be the next to fall? I'm just going to put my vote for Howard Nutlick. I think the video of him on the island is super extra bad.
He's on deck. Ooh.
I mean, he's about to be thrown off deck because he was just on the yacht. And when it was, he's on the yacht listening to Steely Dan or the Doobie Brothers with some yacht rock, that's one thing. But when they had that footage of him walking on the island, baby, that
man, bro, they got you at 4K.
Come on, bro.
They got you at HD.
And he's like, yes, I'm Howard Nutlick, and I'm on the island.
Was his kids with him on that trip?
Yes, his kids were. And he's like, and I took my kids off the island, bruh.
Why were they at the island?
Clear. Was that an option? Was the option to not take them off the island? Is that what you're saying?
Did you have to bring them with you?
You on a cookie for that? This was a man who you said the first time you walked in his house and saw the massage table, you said, I never want to be in the same room with him, but you brought his kids to Pedo Island.
Your children. Cheering.
Bruh.
You're
On
cheering.
some blink twice type shit. So I hope I used that correctly. I think most of you guys are Gen X. I saw a thing about type shit today, and my son says it, so I figured I would just drop it in. So with that, I will say again, I'm Marquain Mullen, and then you have to say whatever name you're gonna say, Gabe. You didn't pick up on that in the open of the show.
And I'm Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, and this is Steel Sharp and Steel. Good night, everybody. See you next.